Irish Footy Vlogs, welcome to another First Division preview show. Please consider subscribing, like the video if you like the content, and hit your bell notification button so you're alerted when we do an upload. Good place to start, actually, Philip, is Athlone Town and Galway. And the interesting thing with this one is the fact that a lot changes since the last show we did, because we were talking about Athlone losing 6-0, obviously, to UCD, and how Carberry got a vote of confidence a couple of weeks ago. Well, on Monday he was sacked, and on Wednesday Paul Doolan was in. So very quick. And first of all, though, what's your general consensus on the sack? I won't say sacking because it was mutual consent, but I just get the sense that it was either that or he was sacked. You know, that's just the sense I personally get. But it was mutual consent. But what's your thoughts on actually him leaving, first of all, before we talk about the appointment?
Well, I suppose I said it there the last video, Keith. I think it's more than just the manager at the minute with Athlone. Like, you know, look, they've come leaps and bounds. We've talked about it before in terms of where they were last year, you know, and that big game against Dundalk where they were trounced. Like, it is a completely different club. But I still think that Athlone, just in terms of what they can, in terms of aim for, the facilities that they've got down there with the pitch and such, I think there's no reason why now they've got this manager now in place. I don't think there is any doubt in my mind that they can push on now and start getting results on the board. You know, I think probably looking in hindsight, it's great to have it, but I think it's probably the right decision. I thought there last week probably wasn't the right thing to do, but when you're getting trounced 6-0, and there's been a couple of poor results as well in the lead up to it, I think maybe change is probably what just needs to be done in terms of freshening up things, you know. And look, if it's going to get an immediate reaction, I don't think so. But at the same time, he was out on Monday and there was a replacement on Wednesday. So maybe there's a bit of planning there, you know, in terms of him coming in and getting his sort of house in order as to how he wants to play. You know, I'd say he has a plan. And look, I suppose it makes for a very interesting last few weeks of the season, Keith, because look, they're not completely out of it now at this stage. They probably won't get into the playoffs, but if they go on a run, who knows, you know. And I think maybe they're going to come up just short, but I don't see why they wouldn't be able to go on a run. And look, I think the appointment is a good thing as well, Keith. Like, at the end of the day, fresh face, someone that is going to bring something different to the table. And look, let's hope the Athlone players take it in and absorb what the manager's going to bring in, and hopefully start to see more results and improving their position in the league.
We're talking about a manager. Obviously, Paul Doolan was a great player in the League of Ireland, but he had a lot of success as well with Drogheda, particularly in 2003, 2008, where he won a league and a cup. So Drogheda fans will love him for that. But like, he has had a 5-year break from the game. He was managing the Ireland under-19s for a 6-year spell, but he has had a 5-year break. I'm not saying you lose. I mean, you still have what you have, but a lot can change in 5 years as well. So he's obviously vastly experienced. I think
it is a long time.
It is a long time, and my issue as well is the fact that I do think Athlone brought an awful lot of players in, and I'm not saying they didn't have a plan, but I'm not really sure if the manager, if Carberry said, I want him, I want him, I want him, and I want him, you know. It just seemed a bit like we talked about attacking players, and like Duna hasn't featured now, you know, that kind of way. They've Meany in there, Curtis Byrne, a few others have come in, etc. And it just looked a bit scattergun from what I could see. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what, from the outside looking in, it looked like that to me. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a good point. That is a good point, Keith. And I would say you're along the right lines anyways, you know. Look, there's obviously multiple factors, you know what I mean? There's poor individual mistakes. I've seen a couple of poor individual mistakes. And the thing that frustrated me more, Keith, was that when I watched them back in games that they did win, they played so well, you know. And like, it's frustrating, I suppose, especially for any manager in the league where you're playing really, really well, and the next week you can go out and get trounced 6-0 like we seen last week. And, you know, it's really frustrating, I suppose. And that's kind of what I think the board have seen. And look, again, there is a long break in between spells of the 19s and taking on this role. And I, like, looking at it and chatting to a couple of friends today, it is very questionable. It's a big gamble, I think, for the club, you know. And look, I said it there a second ago, Keith, and the reason why is because I wanted to knit it all together. Where they were last year when they were bottom of the league and they were getting an absolute trouncing from Dundalk, they really have come on leaps and bounds. But I don't know. I would hope that they will progress because they are a club that are capable of. But you kind of would question it if he doesn't get things right. Are they going to go back to where they were? And look, again, it's all if buts and maybes, but it's a very interesting time to be in that loan supporter, that's for sure, because I don't think any of them are his signing. Any of those players are his signings because, as you said, the manager got a vote of confidence there a couple of weeks back, and the next week he's gone. Like, so, it's very questionable to keep the situation down there at the moment, and I suppose it's going to make for a very interesting end of the season for that loan fans.
Yeah, it's definitely not clear. I suppose the game itself, I mean, it's a good start if you like Galway. I mean, it's one of the last, in a way of saying, it's one of the last teams you want to play, but that might be a good thing for them as well, like in many ways, because a little less pressure going into it maybe for Doolin and this one.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And look, if they go out and they get beat 1 or 2-0, you can't turn around and say it wasn't. You'd hope they put in a good performance if they do get beat. But like, I think the important thing is now, not to ship another 4 or 5 goals. Like, I think that would be a poor start for them realistically.
Yeah.
You know, if they can go in there, I'm not saying they have to go in, Keith, and keep the score down, but I think they just need to go in and make sure that they're competitive. You know, Galway have obviously been really, really good up until the past couple of results that they've had. They got beat last week, didn't they? I'm pretty sure, if I can remember correctly.
Oh, they beat Shelburne last week.
Oh, they beat Shells. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So they're obviously they'll be buoyant from that a little bit too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they were beaten a few weeks back though, I think. Other than that, though, they've been really, really good. But again, I think the momentum that they're going to carry from this Shelbourne game last week into this week is going to be something that will get them over the line. I think I just don't see a response that big from that loan with the capable players that they have. I don't see them being able to do it and getting a result over Galway. So if I'm going to go result, I'm actually going to go Galway 2 or 3-0 maybe. I just think they've got too much quality in there. They're bang at it at the minute.
I'd actually agree with that, to be fair, as well. Moving on to Cabinteely and Cork City. And Cabba were actually going for a treble, believe it or not, over Cork this season. But the tables seem to have turned in the last couple of weeks, and big time, haven't they? You know, this is a strange one because you would say to yourself, you can't see anything other than a Cork victory. You've done that before, and look what's happened, though. And that would be typical Cabinteely, let's be honest about it. But how are you seeing it?
Yeah, I can't get my head around Cabot this year, Keith. I don't know about you, but it's just like, I don't know. I can't judge them because, like, 1 week they can be fantastic, the next week they can be terrible. And you know something, I'm not going to keep talking about that because we're mentioning it so much, Keith, that they can be that good side and then they can be shockingly bad.
And the problem is, Philip, they're shockingly bad more than they are that good side.
Yeah, and like, I think they're kind of one of the lenient sides on the channel, Keith, that when we come to criticising them, we don't give them enough stick because, like, you think about where they are in the division, they're completely underachieving, like, you know. And like, I'll be honest with you, at say 4 or 5 weeks ago when this fixture came up, even with how poor Cabot were, I'd have said, geez, no, they'll get over the line against Cork. But Cork have really not turned their season around, but they've had a good spell in the past few weeks, and I don't think any of us saw it coming, to be honest with you. I know you tend to say, Keith, teams can't lose every week, but Cork were at a stage where they were looking like they were going to lose every week, you know. And look, it's credit to the manager, it's credit to the players. They've had a little revival. Look, it's nothing major, and it's not what you would expect from a Cork City club maybe 3 or 4 years ago. But I suppose you have to kind of deal with what you're facing at the moment, and where they were 6 weeks ago to where they are now. Look, they've moved a couple of places up the table, nothing major, nothing drastic, but the performances have been much better. And I suppose the good thing is you've got fans getting behind them as well and getting their money's worth. You know, the Cork fans, they're good down there and they deserve a team that plays good football. And the past couple of weeks, they've seen some sort of resemblance to good football. And I just think they'll have enough now, to be honest, with the way things have gone, Keith. Cabot coming off a poor result to Wexford last week, and Cork just looking really, really positive at the moment. So I'm going to go Cork. I'm going to score. I'm going to say 2-1 because Cork tend not to keep clean sheets, but I can see Cabot probably getting the 1 goal, but I see Cork probably getting the 2.
Yeah, I've gone 2-1 for Cork myself, so I'm not going to change my mind just because I use it. The next one up is Shelburne against Bray Wanderers, and it's mad to think that between both clubs they've only lost 4 games, Philip, this season. Obviously, Shelburne losing their first game last season, but Bray, in fairness, like 3 defeats all season is pretty good. They'll be disappointed actually with 3 defeats that they're not higher, if you get me, in the table points wise. But they had a banger in this fixture earlier on the season. I don't know if you remember, it was 3-3. It was a brilliant game. Brandon Kavanagh actually scored a screamer in that game as well. So this is a bit an interesting game for Shelbourne, because sometimes when you lose, I've said it before, I mean, Arsenal, the Invincibles, when they lost their first game, for example, they lost within the next 3 or 4 matches or something. Something happens, like you usually go a short term before you lose again. But can you see them losing this one?
Mental, it's all up there, yeah.
It is. Yeah, you're right.
And I'll be honest with you, Bray will be fuming that they had a drawdemic this year, including the pandemic, because they've drawn so many games. They could be right up there. And I'll be honest with you, I actually fancied Bray in this game, to be honest with you. I really do. I don't know what it is. I just think the way things have gone the past couple of weeks, and the fact now that Shells were beaten last week as well, I think it may alleviate some of the pressure off Shells saying, oh, can we go unbeaten? I think that is a little factor as well. But I don't know. I have a feeling Derry are going to get one over them here, to be honest. I don't think, I've said it before, Shells aren't the sort of team to feel sorry for themselves, but I just think that Bray are going in the right direction at the moment, and they've been climbing up the table consistently over the past few weeks. And look, I suppose, Keith, if Bray can beat them here, I suppose if Galway get a result as well,
Galway win.
We're looking at a league that is not completely wrapped up. Yeah, we're not looking at a league wrapped up. And look, I really hope that it's a Bray win, to be honest with you, for the league in general, because we love a competitive fourth division. Everyone loves to look at the fourth division and see, geez, anyone can win it. And look, obviously at the moment, it hasn't been that way this season. It's looked all Shelbourne, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that something's going to pop up here now. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be optimistic, and I'm gonna go for a Bray 1-0, and I think it's gonna be a very, very tight game. In fact, to be honest, don't tell me you said 1-0.
No, I'm actually going to go for a draw, to be honest with you. But even at that, but like I said a few weeks ago, that the time Shelbourne to get nervous is if it gets back to maybe 4 points, because you're 10 points more or less, give or take, up all season. You're unbeaten, you're flying. That momentum can go against you, and all of a sudden a 4-point lead, which is still a lead, but panic can come into the equation, into the club, into the dressing room, into the management. You might notice it, but it can come into it. And even though you're in a good position, that can just slip away very quickly. And then the teams behind you, or team, whatever, can get momentum as well. And especially Bray, because they're up there. If they were to get a win here, like, it kind of puts them into the equation a bit too, let's be honest about it. So, look, I do think Shelbourne, a lot of Shelbourne fans mightn't think it, but I do think they've got a lot of balls in their team, believe it or not. I think there's players there that can knuckle down and get on with it. And I actually think even if they got a draw, a win would be fantastic for them. But even a draw, it's not a terrible result for them, because there's games coming up against the likes of Cabinteely and clubs like that Shelbourne, I think, will win. So I think a draw would be okay for them if they get it. So I'll go for a draw on this one. We'll move on to Cove. And actually, no, Treaty and Wexford first, because that's on Friday night. Treaty and Wexford. Treaty lost the last 2 matches, Philip. 5 clean sheets this season. Wexford have 2. It's hard to believe Treaty have only had 5 clean sheets this season when I looked at it, to be honest with you. You'd expect goals in this one. It's an opportunity, I think, for Treaty now to get off that losing streak and get back to winning ways, I think, really.
Yeah, it is, to be honest. And look, Wexford came off a great result there last weekend, and they'll be flying of confidence coming into it. You know, young squad, good result against a Cabo side that look, they haven't been great, but again, it's still a good result, and I think they'll be optimistic going into the game. But again, I just think Treaty, they've been absolutely brilliant this year, and look, a couple of bad results on the bounce, I don't see that derailing their season, to be honest with you. I think this is a perfect opportunity now. I think it's come at the right time that they're playing Wexford, you know. If it's 3 in a row, and all of a sudden you're saying, oh geez, we can't seem to get a win at the minute, and like, let's be honest, Keith, no one's expected Treaty to be where they are, and the fact they are there is credit to them. And look, I'd be honest, call a spade a spade. I don't think we can look past Treaty at the minute with the way things have gone this season for them. So I'm gonna go 2, maybe 3-0 Treaty United.
Yeah, and in fairness, like, Tommy Barrett would have been disappointed with the display against Cabinteely, but not really against Bray, because they were beaten 1-0 penalty last minute. Like, and Bray are going well at the moment, so you know that can happen. They can go either way. So he'll be happy enough with that response as such. And if they can carry it on here against Wexford, it'd be fantastic. Yeah, I agree. I do think Wexford will get a goal, probably Moylan or Robinson more than likely. One of them at least scores every week. But yeah, I think Treaty will get a few goals in this. I'll go Treaty 3-1. The final game is Cove and UCD. I think it's on a Saturday night, this one. Cove actually won the last time they met, but UCD put up big scores against them recently, beating them 4 and 6-0 before that. Cove, obviously, the last time out, lost 4-0 to Cork City. UCD won 6-0. Be typical of Cove actually won this game, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it was a nil
No,
all, to be
what?
honest
Genuinely.
with you. Yeah. I know, look, I'll be honest with you, Keith. I'm delighted that I look back on the UCD game, and I have to say it was great to see, because I like watching UCD play football. It's just, I don't know what it is. They just really, when they're on it, there's no better side to watch, to be honest. I don't think in any division, top or first division or top division. I just think when they play football, they get the ball down the deck. It's really, really pleasant to watch. And the past couple of weeks, they just looked a bit better, and look, they haven't completely got results the last 4 or 5 weeks, but they've been competitive in games, and that's what you want from UCD. And to be honest, I thought their season was finished at one stage, the way things were going for them, and they've turned it around, and they will be in the playoffs. And look, I can't look past them in this game. I just think Cove will be a bit sick after the result last week, and I don't see them being able to revive themselves, if you'd say, and get a result against the strong UCD, who are going well at the minute, or at least over the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I'm gonna go UCD, and I'm gonna go 1-0. I don't know why. I just think it's gonna be a really, really tight game. Like, just yourself with how things go in the division. One team wins 6-0, one loses 4-0. The next week it's 0-all. Like, so I think the quality is just gonna be there for UCD to get them over the line. So I'm gonna go 1-0.
Yeah, exactly. I think the reason why I don't think anyone that's outside the playoffs will get into the playoffs is because UCD, they're 5th at the moment, and they're not going to go 3 or 4 games without winning, in my opinion. They're just going to win every now and again. They don't draw many matches, so even if they lose next week or whatever, there's a good chance they're going to win the following week. So they're going to get enough 3 points here and there to keep ahead of the team. They're a good bit behind them at this stage. So I actually agree with you here as well, for God's sake, as well. In this one, I was going to use another word, but I didn't. I think it'll be a tight game as well, but I do think UCD will come out the other side of it and nick it 1-0. So yeah, that's about it, guys. Make sure you comment below, subscribe, hit your bell notification button, and like the video.